I love shmups and a good deal of spectacle fighters, but it's rare to see both be implemented together in one game. Combining both bullet hells and spectacle fighters demanding mechanics into a game that is essentially a boss rush may seem like a fine rope to walk on, carrying both mechanics on each end of the stick, and that's exactly what Furi with an I does and does well. Immediately hooking me with its flashy visuals, Furi is a cyberpunk fantasy where you play as this dude who is trying to get out of prison, so yeah. It's a basic plot serviceable to the game's core gameplay, which is the boss rush. There are skippable cutscenes, but parts of the plot is also dumped in these bizarre, meditative, third-person walking simulator-ish segments that serves as needed downtime. These make me regret not paying attention to the plot, cause it may be a simple story, but it's these parts that give characterization to the prison and the bosses. One example is the second boss's backstory about the thing on her head, and how it's keeping her powers down, and her prison was specifically made to kinda keep her screams down, as her screams evoke agony. It's simple, disturbing, and kinda fucking edgy, but it does add some depth to a character we barely get to know. And with those established personalities, their animations do hammer down their characters' mannerisms and give enough visual feedback to give the player info on what is happening, especially when an attack is coming. The first segment of Furi's combat is a bullet hell-esque twin stick section with pretty tight controls, though lacking depth. It's serviceable and its bullet patterns give a good enough challenge for both beginners and vets of the genre. The second segment of the combat is more close quarters, where the player and the boss are stuck inside a certain radius, dueling using melee combat with a call and answer style of memorization. Though not as intricate as Jazz, it can be beautifully executed by a slight trial and error or having good reaction time. Dodging and parrying are also moves that surprisingly have quite the utility in both mechanics. Dodging works a bit like Enter the Gungeon's dodge roll on top-down sections, while parrying can deflect certain bullets with really good timing. It surprisingly ties together both mechanics on shmuppy sections, as the player isn't constrained to using the shmup mentality, though close quarters combat does change the second stick for charging your blade. A lot of care were clearly put in the animations and overall aesthetic, as the spectacle-heavy parts like this aren't just focused on wowing the player, but also giving needed information for the player to fairly play these segments. It is a video game after all, and I'm glad action scenes aren't relegated in spectacle-heavy cutscenes or quick-time events. After draining the boss's life in both segments, a new phase starts, making the boss replenish health together with yours, but now there are new patterns and moves to learn. Be careful, as letting the boss get the best of you and wasting a life can also replenish the boss's health within that phase. The overall aesthetic and presentation is stellar, showcasing the bright neon fantasyscapes of the setting paired with the power of synthwave and electro house acts. Models may not be the best up close, but with Takashi Okazaki's design, its technical faults are barely noticeable, as his designs from the main character to the bosses itself are memorable enough. Being graced by Afro Samurai's graphic designer isn't the only aspect Furi took advantage to full effect. Established artists such as Carpenter Brute, Toxic Avenger, Danger, and more composed original compositions that complemented the ambiance of the game's atmosphere. Furi is a great game, and that's not me just saying that, because the most recent game I played was a mighty number 911 emergency, oh my god! But Furi was just a genuine surprise. It fused two of the most exhilarating genres into one mixed fruit salad of style and clear passion. It may have managed to streamline each mechanic individually, but its lack of expansion in both the shmup side and the spectacle fighter side is remedied by the overall gameplay and flow. Personally, I could have done without the tranquil walking sim parts, as the fixed camera can screw the player's sense of direction and can break immersion faster than you can say cinematic. It's pretty cool that the developers remedied this by adding press A to fucking walk, which really just highlights how unnecessarily janky these glorified cutscenes are. With a simple, inoffensive story carried through by solid gameplay and wonderful presentation, Furi, dare I say, is a strong competitor for my game of the year. Though I only recommend this game for people who doesn't mind sticking to controllers, as keyboard and mouse controls can go straight to hell, unless you really prefer it for these types of games. And for people who likes a good challenge, Furi is for you. Well, there's even an easy mode for people who just wants to shorten that pesky gameplay and just would love to see that story.